buckle up, because we're tackling karma.
Ooh, karma.
But, and this is a big but, we're looking at it from a perspective you might not expect. We're going full Bill Maher on this one.
Oh, okay. Now that's going to be an interesting take for sure. He's not one to shy away from, let's just say, bold opinions.
Exactly. He doesn't exactly play it safe, does he? For this deep dive, we're checking out this YouTube short. It's from a channel called Mina. It's basically just Bill Maher riffing on karma. And I gotta say, he's pretty skeptical about the whole what goes around comes around idea.
Really? So we're going against the grain with this one. I'm intrigued. Before we get into Maher's take, can you remind folks about the traditional concept of karma, just for context?
Yeah, absolutely. So traditionally, karma is all about this idea of balance in the universe. It's like every action you take, every thought you have, sends out these ripples, and eventually those ripples come back to you.
Right. It's often tied to this concept of cause and effect. Like, what you put out into the world is what you'll eventually receive back, whether it's good or bad. It's a pretty powerful concept, right?
Absolutely. It can be found in lots of different cultures and philosophies. But Bill Maher, well, he's not buying it. He thinks tying specific actions to specific consequences is kind of, well, he uses the word childish.
Childish. Wow. All right, so what's his reasoning there? What's his argument against traditional karma?
So Maher's main point is that life just isn't that predictable. He doesn't think there's some cosmic scorekeeper up there tallying up your good deeds and bad deeds and then handing out rewards and punishments accordingly.
I see. So it's not about denying that actions have consequences. It's more about questioning this idea of a perfectly balanced tit-for-tat system.
Yeah, exactly. Like, sometimes bad things happen to good people and vice versa. He doesn't think it's always a direct result of some past action coming back to haunt you.
He uses the example of petty criminals, right? I remember that from the clip.
Yeah. He says if you keep breaking the law, yeah, you're probably going to end up facing consequences like going to jail. But he doesn't think that kind of clear cause and effect plays out in every single aspect of life.
Right. It's not like every time you, say, miss your bus, it's because you cut someone off in traffic earlier that day. Life is a bit more complicated than that.
Way more complicated.
Yeah.
Maher is suggesting that there's a lot of randomness in life. Good things and bad things happen to people, regardless of how they've behaved. So he's essentially pushing back against this idea that everything happens for a reason.
That's a pretty big departure from the traditional view of karma, where everything is interconnected and there's this ultimate sense of justice being served.
It really is. It makes you think, doesn't it? Like, if there isn't this cosmic guarantee that good actions will be rewarded and bad actions punished, does that change how we approach our choices? What does that mean for our sense of morality and responsibility?
It's a great question. I mean, if we don't have this fear of karmic retribution hanging over our heads, does that make us more likely to act selfishly? Or do we still choose to be kind and ethical because it's simply the right thing to do, regardless of any potential cosmic payback?
It's a real head-scratcher, isn't it? Like, maybe it all comes down to personal values and a sense of shared humanity.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a stronger foundation for ethical behavior than worrying about some cosmic scorecard.
It's definitely something to think about. Does the absence of guaranteed cosmic justice diminish the importance of making good choices? Or does it make our choices even more meaningful because they're truly our own?
Wow, yeah. Really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of these deep dives. We start with one idea and then we end up with even more questions and answers. But hey, that's how we learn and grow, right? So for everyone listening out there, I want you to think about this. Do you side with the traditional view of karma? Or do you lean more towards Maher's perspective, that life has a lot of randomness to it?
It's a fascinating debate. It really is. And it touches on some pretty fundamental questions about how we see ourselves in the universe.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll catch you next time.